Hey, remember back in February 2021, Nintendo was like, hey, new Direct with Smash Brothers, and we were all like, yo, Monster Hunter Rise, the Monster Hunter game specifically designed for the Switch, comes out like next month. I bet the new Smash character will be from Monster Hunter. They did the same thing with Dragon Quest XI-S, Echoes of an Elizabethan Age. Rathalos is already in the game, there's already Rathalos Boss Arena, it makes too much sense. And then instead they reveal the character from
a Furby sex slave game where you catch strippers like Pokemon.
And we got a bunch of Mii costumes instead. Anyway, here's how I would design Monster Hunter as a Smash Bros. Character in the alternate universe where my dreams weren't crushed. But before that, let's take a quick look at how Smash Bros. Characters are designed. Rather than revolutionize the gameplay with each entry, Smash instead keeps its base mechanics relatively the same throughout the series, and instead introduces new gameplay mechanics and concepts through its new characters. In addition, for the most part, each new character does its best to be reflective of the source material in terms of the character's moves. Characters in Smash often do moves from their games. Plus, the characters try to capture the spirit of the character and their game in its representation. You know, for example, Bayonetta, all about them combos. Pokemon Trainer, all about switching between different Pokemon for the right situation. At the same time, characters have to be accessible while still having hidden depth. While some are more technical than others, every character is made to be simple enough for kids and casual players to easily grasp, straightforward enough so you can be blackout drunk at a party playing 8-player Smash and still whoop Vito's ass, but complex enough so that a small percentage of players can go to a tournament and compete against actual predators. So those will be our goals for this hypothetical build with Monster Hunter. First off, character appearance. For those less familiar with the series, Monster Hunter is actually a game about fashion, where you kill a bunch of monsters and then craft nice clothes from their corpse. That's it, that's literally the game. There's no one default look, there's literally hundreds of armor sets. So for Smash Brothers, the default appearance for the Hunter will be based off the ninja looking armor from Monster Hunter Rise, since that's the most recent game and it was specifically designed with the Nintendo Switch in mind. Before Rise came out, I would have made the Rathalos armor the default one, since that's the most well-known design. In an ideal world, each color would be a different armor set from the games, but that's a lot to render. So I'll make the Rathalos armor the alternate, sort of like how Joker has school clothes and Kazuya has business clothes. For business. In Monster Hunter, you can pick which gender you play as, and in Smash, I'll make the female armor design the default player 1 look, because Smash Brothers lacks women, because video games lack women as main protagonists, and of all the gender swap characters available, only 2 of them have their defaults as women, even though I'm willing to bet that in at least some of these games, more players played as women. For the other colors, I go black and white ninja armor because ninjas, green to reference Rathian even though that armor technically looks different, and gold and silver variants of the Rathalos armor to reference Silver Rathalos and Gold Rathian. The gameplay concept for the Hunter will be master of weapons from the game. And yes, Byleth sort of already is that, but I'll explain how it'll be different. Basically, we're going to try to incorporate as many of the 14 weapons from Monster Hunter into the Hunter's moveset. If Monster Hunter were actually in Smash, their moves would probably only be based around the Greatsword and maybe a few other weapons and items, but that's less fun. Most Monster Hunter weapons are more about good timing and choosing when to attack than big damage, rather than just mashing buttons or whatever. So that's how we'll make our Smash character. This would probably make the character bottom tier, but who cares? Most of us aren't good enough for so-called definitive tier lists to actually affect us. In addition, Monster Hunter has a lot of context-sensitive moves, meaning that after you use one move, a different move will come out. Monster Hunter can also be a pretty technical game, and all the weapons have depth-filled mechanics, but we're gonna try to simplify some of those mechanics into Smash. And I'll try not to let my own personal biases towards certain weapons take over, but we'll see how it goes. Movement-wise, the Hunter will be on the slower and heavier side of the roster since they're wearing all that armor, and about the same height and build as Captain Falcon, if not slightly shorter. And now for the moves. I'm not a fighting game designer, so there will be some rough ranges for damage, how much percent each move does, and knockback, how far the move sends them flying off stage. I'll also use comparisons to other characters' moves for reference. Not necessarily the exact same moves, but you'll see what I mean. But even if they were to reuse the same animation, who gives a shit? Animation is very hard. Video games reuse resources all the time. It's not a big deal. The standard moves. A button jab is the sword and shield combo. Tap A 3 times and it does 3 moves. If you mash A, similar to some of the Link's mash attacks, it'll switch to the dual blades demon dance combo for the ultimate onion slice and dice combo spectacular. Side A is the longsword spirit blade combo. It'll be a 4-attack combo similar to the dancing blade of Marth and Pals. Each input will continue the combo. And just like in Monster Hunter, if you land the 4th move, you get a temporary attack buff. Up A is the upward lance poke. You just poke. Down A is the switch axe slam. Swing once to do a sword swing that has an electric effect, and do it again for a downward axe swing that has longer range. I don't know, I really couldn't think of anything for switch axe and one of my favorite weapons, and I'm not happy about it. Side smash, you already know what it's gonna be. The most iconic, powerful, slam, jam, wham, bam, break your hymen, ma'am, weapon of Monster Hunter, the insect the great sword. Big swing. If you do it a second time right after the first, then you do the true charge 2-part slash for bigger damage. It'll be super satisfying to land one during an actual match, just like in a hunt. Up smash, gun lance wyvern fire, except you just point it up. It's like a little explosion. Down smash, hammer circle swing with the golf swing on the final hit. This down smash will be unique since you'll be able to charge it and move while charging, just like in Monster Hunter. Dash attack, lance charge. You run across the stage until you cancel it. That's it. Chugga chugga choo choo, you little lance that could. Get up attack, dual blades floor dance. You do a little spin around and do a little break dance slash attack. This is the only other dual blades attack and I'm not happy about it. Aerials. There's one weapon in Monster Hunter that's all about attacking in the air. The heavy bow the insect glaive. Neutral aerial. Insect glaive helicopter spin, except it's in place, sort of like pitch neutral aerial, and it'll launch a bug. If the bug hits someone, it'll do a little bit of damage, and it also give the player a small buff when the bug returns. Forward aerial. Insect glaive dive and swing. If it hits someone with a sweet spot, you'll bounce off them. Back aerial. Insect glaive again, except in reverse. Actually, no, I'm not happy about 3 aerial moves all being from the same weapon. Personal biases be damned, one of the aerial moves should be the dual blade Levi move from Attack on Titan. It's one of the coolest moves in the game. Up aerial. Upward heavy bowgun bullet. Look, I had to put it somewhere, alright? Down aerial, light bowgun sticky bomb. You stick a bomb onto someone and then a few seconds later it explodes. Special moves. It's literally just more weapon moves. Neutral B, bow. Yes, I know like half the roster already has a bow as their neutral B, and people complain about the Fire Emblem guys. But this bow will be different because it'll be an elemental bow in that it'll switch between what element it shoots each time. And if you fully charge it, it'll be a triple shot bow that'll split into an arc pattern, and you can tilt it up and down. Not very long range and damage though in order to balance it, plus the bows in Monster Hunter don't have a ton of range either. Side B, Charge Blade, one of the most technical weapons in the game, but here's how we'll do it in Smash. You know how with Mr. Game & Watch's bucket, you charge it up 3 times and then unleash it? Sort of the same concept here. Hit an opponent with Side B 3 times in sword mode, and then the 4th time you do it a Side B, it'll be the super amped elemental discharge in axe mode. Down B, Hunting Horn. You do the big self-improvement swing, then play a song at the end and you get a random buff. Movement speed, offense, or defense. The buff will only last like 10 to 15 seconds. Up B, the new move from Rise, the wire bug. Basically a tether recovery 360 degrees that'll grab the ledge after you use it. But unlike other tethers, it'll still launch you in whatever direction you aim it, even if you don't grab anything. And, just like in Rise, if you tether into a wall, you'll run up it, because DLC power creep! My other idea for a recovery move was the Palico trampoline from Generations and Gen Ultimate. Grabs. I don't know, have the opponent get tethered up by the wire bug. Then the beat up attack, you can have the Palico pop out of the ground and hit him too. In down throw, you can bury the enemy in a pitfall trap. Final smash, there's a ton of options, from using a bunch of items like in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Remember that game? Yeah, me neither. To just having a big monster show up and do a big attack. I think the most fitting option would be a technique from Rise known as Wyvern Riding, where you hop on a monster and do big moves. Taunts and victory screen. I'm lumping these together because you have a lot of options. The prance animation is a must, and it's such a shame that it's currently not in Rise. Palico and Palamute tricks like the handshake and playtime, as well as the end screens at the end of hunts, including even the owl one. And cooking meat with the song at the end has gotta be there too. Stage entrance. The bird. You get dropped off by the bird from World, or you just wire bug in like fast travel. Unused concepts. Again, realistically, Monster Hunter will be based around like 4 of the weapons at most, but I really wanted to make a moveset where you use all the weapons at least a little bit. You could easily make 14 different fighting game movesets like it's Soul Calibur, one for each weapon, but some of the shortcomings of what I made here is that it's very weapon focused, and during hunts you have many more techniques available to you than just bash and slash. So as one of the special moves, the radial menu for item selection will be interesting. You could set shock or pitfall traps, lay down a barrel bomb, throw a flash or sonic bomb, poison knives, kunai. If Monster Hunter were added, then they probably would have standard and aerial moves be weapon attacks, and would have special moves be the different items from hunts. For their specific classic mode route, I'd have them fight the more monstrous enemies on the roster, like King K. Rool and Bowser, some of the monstrous bosses like Giga Bowser and Ganon, try to have some of the fights represent monsters from the Monster Hunter games, like have a fight against Donkey Kong and Pikachu representing Rajang, fighting against the greatest monster of them all, Kirby, in an end boss fight with Rathalos, obviously. And for some of the fights you could have Fox, Wolf, and or Duck Hunt as CPU allies to represent Palicos and Palamutes. Oh yeah, every Smash character gets their own stage too. While the Ancestral step from Monster Hunter 4 will be my pick, since it's already sort of referenced in the Rathalos stage boss, I think a better choice would be the Rampage base from Monster Hunter Rise. You could use some of the ballistae and cannons during the hunt, characters from the game would appear in the background, and a few monsters from the series would show up and gradually alter the map, similar to the summons on the Midgar stage. Song list? These ones. The top ones will be remixes, with the rest just copy-pasted over from various games. The more the better. Hopefully some of the monster themes here will be monsters that also show up on the Rampage stage. Spirits can be characters and monsters from the games, who cares? And that's how I would do it in the alternate universe where Monster Hunter wasn't a Mii costume 2 games in a row. Anyways, thanks for watching, and don't forget to propel yourself with your insect glaive into that subscribe button for future videos. Comment below with what moves you would want the hunter to have if they were in Smash, and that's it, video's over.